In the middle of the Cold War, governments weren't just building weapons. They were testing reality itself. Hidden programs, unmarked facilities, experiments that were never meant to be discussed publicly. Some were psychological, some were biological, and some pushed far beyond what any ethical boundary should allow. One of these experiments reportedly failed so badly that parts of it remain classified to this day. What exactly went wrong is still debated, but the documents that did surface tell a disturbing story. Welcome to Night Archives. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union invested heavily in experimental research programs. Officially, these projects were meant for intelligence gathering, behavioral science, and defense strategies. But secrecy created space for much more controversial testing. Some programs focused on sensory deprivation, others on interrogation resistance, and some attempted to explore whether human perception itself could be altered or controlled. At the time, very little oversight existed for classified research, which meant failure wasn't always reported. It was buried. One of the most infamous categories of experiments involved psychological endurance. Subjects were isolated for extended periods, deprived of sleep, exposed to controlled stress conditions. Researchers recorded changes in perception, memory, and identity stability. In some cases, participants began reporting hallucinations. In others, complete disorientation from time itself. But what makes these reports unsettling is not just what was experienced, it's how similar the descriptions became across unrelated cases. And if you're watching this because you're drawn to unexplained history, hidden experiments, and stories that sit between fact and uncertainty, consider subscribing to Night Archives, because some knowledge was never meant for public understanding. Declassified fragments of Cold War research hint at attempts to explore perception beyond normal human limits. Some theories suggest experiments involving remote perception. Others reference attempts to influence decision-making under controlled environments. While many of these claims remain unverified, enough documentation exists to confirm that research in these directions was actively explored. What remains unclear is how far these experiments actually went, and whether all of them were ever fully documented. Among scattered reports, one recurring theme appears: unstable psychological responses, unexpected cognitive breakdowns, and experiments that were abruptly discontinued without explanation. In some cases, entire project files were sealed without public disclosure of results. Researchers involved were reassigned or removed from public record. The official explanation is always the same: program concluded. But the absence of information often raises more questions than it answers. Today, most of these programs exist only as fragmented documents, partial leaks, and secondhand accounts. No single narrative fully explains what was attempted or what was discovered. Whether these experiments pushed human understanding forward or revealed boundaries that were never meant to be crossed remains unknown. But one question continues to follow them through history. If human perception can be altered, measured, or expanded, then what exactly defines the limits of what we call reality? And more importantly, who decided where those limits should be? And some questions were never meant to be fully answered.